She did not fall for the richest man in the room. She did not fall for the most handsome one either. She fell for the one who did not seem to need her at all. His name was Marcus. Average height. Average face. He walked into the room, ordered his drink, sat alone at the bar, and opened a book. No phone. No scanning the crowd. No performance. He was just there, completely inside himself, like a man who had already arrived somewhere the rest of the world was still looking for directions to. She watched him from across the room for 40 minutes. Her friend nudged her twice. She barely noticed. She had been surrounded by men who wanted her attention all evening. Men who leaned in too close. Men who laughed too loudly at their own jokes. Men who kept checking to see if she was watching them. And then there was this man, who did not look once. She walked over to him. She never walks over to men. That was the night her life changed. That man was following, without even knowing it, one of the oldest and most powerful principles ever recorded in human philosophy. The Stoics called it self-mastery. The ancient Romans called it dignitas. In the modern world, we barely have a name for it, because so few men actually possess it. And women, deep in their biology, deep in their nervous systems, deep in something that goes far beyond their conscious minds, are wired to respond to it like fire responds to oxygen. This is not about manipulation. This is not about tricks or games. This is about understanding something fundamental about desire, about human nature, about the architecture of attraction that most men never bother to study. And if you stay until the end of this, your entire understanding of how attraction works will never be the same again. Follow me, because this is the kind of content that will rewire how you move through the world. Let us begin. The first thing that triggers lust in a woman is a man who has mastered his own mind. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest emperors Rome ever produced, wrote something in his private journal that was never meant for public eyes. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He was not writing about attraction. He was writing about survival, about ruling an empire, about maintaining sanity in the middle of war and plague and betrayal. But what he described, this total command over his own interior world, is exactly what drives a woman to a state of deep, primal desire. Here is why. A woman's nervous system is constantly reading the room. It is not something she decides to do. It is something that happens automatically, evolutionarily, like breathing. Her subconscious mind is always running a background scan on every man she encounters, asking one fundamental question: is this man stable? Is he solid? Is he the kind of man who, when the world falls apart, will not fall apart with it? This is not a romantic question. It is a survival question. And her body answers it before her brain even has time to form a complete thought. When a man cannot control his own emotions, when he panics easily, when he is reactive, when his mood swings with every small inconvenience, when he is desperate for validation, her nervous system registers this as danger. Not conscious danger. Subconscious danger. The feeling she gets is not, "This man is unattractive." The feeling she gets is closer to, "Something is wrong here." And that feeling kills desire before it ever has a chance to be born. But when a man is calm, when a man's emotions are steady, when his mood does not depend on what she does or says, when he can sit in silence and be completely at peace with himself, when he can receive bad news and not collapse, when he can face difficulty and not become a different person, her nervous system lights up. Not in fear, in fascination. This is what Stoic philosophy was building, without ever using the word attraction. When Epictetus said, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens," he was describing the posture of a man who is not controlled by external circumstances. And that posture, that interior posture, broadcasts itself through every movement, every word, every moment of silence. Women feel it before they see it. The man who has mastered his own mind does not need the evening to go a certain way. He does not need her to respond in a certain way. He does not need validation from the crowd. He is already full. He is already whole. And fullness, in a world of desperate, empty, needy men, is the most exotic thing a woman can encounter. Think about the last time you went into a conversation with a woman needing something from her. Needing her to laugh. Needing her to be impressed. Needing her to stay. That need was visible. She felt it. And it pushed her away, not because she is cruel, but because her subconscious read it as instability. As lack. As weakness of the interior. The Stoic man, the man who has done the inner work, walks into every room already complete. His happiness is not on the table. It is not something she can give or take. And paradoxically, that is exactly what makes her want to try. The second thing that triggers lust in a woman is a man who pursues something greater than her. There is a story from ancient Sparta. A young soldier came to his commander before a major battle. He said, "I am in love. I cannot stop thinking about her. What do I do?" The commander looked at him and said, "Good. Let that love fuel your spear arm. But if you die for her instead of for Sparta, you are useless to both." This sounds brutal. But buried inside it is one of the most profound truths about desire. Women do not fall in love with men who make them the center of the universe. They are fascinated by them for a moment, yes. The attention feels good, yes. But fascination is not desire. And attention is not attraction. Real lust, the kind that keeps a woman up at night, the kind that makes her reach for her phone and then put it down, and then reach for it again, is triggered by a man who is so consumed by his purpose that she has to compete for his attention. Not because he is playing games. Not because he is deliberately being distant. But because he actually has somewhere to be. When a woman watches a man who is deeply committed to something, a craft, a mission, a philosophy, a set of values he refuses to compromise, something happens in her that she often cannot explain. She finds herself thinking about him at odd hours. She finds herself paying closer attention to what he says. She finds herself wanting to be near him, wanting to be the one he comes home to after his long day of doing the thing that drives him. Seneca wrote, "Retire into yourself as much as you can. Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those who you yourself can improve." He was talking about intellectual and spiritual growth. But the principle applies everywhere. A man who is constantly improving, constantly building, constantly moving towards something larger than his immediate comfort, radiates a kind of energy that is deeply magnetic. This is why the artists, the builders, the men with obsessions, have always attracted women who on paper should be out of their league. Not because of their talent exactly, but because of their devotion. Devotion to anything, real, honest, unperformed devotion, is one of the most attractive things a human being can display. It says, this man knows what he wants. This man will not be deterred. This man has the capacity for depth. And women, consciously or not, ask themselves, could he be that devoted to me? Could I inspire that kind of focus? Could I be the thing he is so passionate about? That is the question that triggers lust. Not, does he like me? That question is too small. The question that triggers something deep and physical is, what would it feel like to be chosen by a man who has this much to offer? Most men make women the mission. The Stoics teach us that the mission must be bigger than any one person. And when a woman senses that she is not your entire world, but that she could be a cherished and important part of your world, something in her shifts. The desire to earn a place in that world can become consuming. Follow me, because we are just getting started. The third thing that triggers lust in a woman is a man she cannot fully predict. The Stoics spoke often about living according to reason, about not being tossed around by the passions, about maintaining an even keel regardless of circumstance. But there is a fascinating paradox inside Stoic thought that most people miss entirely. The Stoic man is not predictable. He is consistent, but he is not predictable. These are completely different things. A predictable man is one who reacts the same way every time, who can be read from across the room, who has no mystery because he has no depth, who gives himself away in every sentence, who is transparent not because he is honest, but because he has never developed any interior complexity, A consistent man is one whose values do not change, whose character remains stable, whose word means something, but whose thoughts, whose reactions, whose ways of seeing the world continually surprise you because they come from a place of genuine depth and ongoing growth. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoic philosophy, said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." The man who has mastered himself is genuinely unpredictable in the most attractive sense, because his responses come from a place of wisdom rather than habit. He does not react the way you expect him to react. He does not get angry when you expect him to get angry. He does not fall apart when you expect him to fall apart. And he does not always approve of what you do just because you are beautiful. That last part is crucial. A man who challenges a woman, respectfully, intelligently, with genuine curiosity rather than cruelty, is a man she cannot stop thinking about. Not because she enjoys conflict, but because challenge signals something rare. He sees her as a real person, not just as a body to be pleased or an ego to be managed. He actually engages with who she is, and sometimes he disagrees, and that disagreement, delivered with warmth and without malice, is wildly attractive. Think about the conversations that stuck with you the longest in your life. Were they conversations where someone simply agreed with everything you said? Or were they conversations where someone pushed back, made you think differently, showed you something you had not seen before? The man who is fully, effortlessly agreeable is not a partner. He is a mirror. And you cannot desire a mirror. You can only be temporarily pleased by it. The man with genuine interiority, with real opinions, with the confidence to hold them even under social pressure, with the ability to surprise you because he is always thinking in ways you have not anticipated, is the man who lodges himself in a woman's mind and stays there. This is not manufactured mystery. This is not the game of pretending to be busy. This is the genuine mystery that comes from being a person of actual depth. A man who reads deeply, who thinks seriously, who wrestles with real questions, who has lived and suffered and grown, is inherently mysterious because he contains more than he shows. And what is contained but not fully shown creates desire to discover. The fourth thing that triggers lust in a woman is a man who is comfortable with silence. There is a moment in every early interaction between a man and a woman that reveals almost everything. It is the moment when a silence falls between them. Most men panic. They rush to fill it. They make a joke. They ask another question. They reach for their phone. They say something unnecessary just to avoid the discomfort of being present with another person without the armor of words. This panic is completely understandable. Silence feels vulnerable. Silence feels like exposure. Silence feels like risk. What if she is bored? What if she thinks he is boring? What if the silence means something is wrong? But here is what most men do not know. A woman experiences a man's comfort with silence very differently than the man experiences it himself. When a man sits with a woman in silence and is genuinely comfortable, not performing comfort, not pretending to be comfortable while internally scrambling, but actually at ease with the quiet, she experiences something she rarely gets to experience with men. She feels seen. She feels that the moment does not need to be performed for. She feels that he is not anxious about her opinion of him. She feels that he is simply there, present, real. This comfort with silence is one of the most direct expressions of Stoic self-sufficiency. The Stoics taught that the wise man is content within himself. That he does not need external stimulus to feel okay. That he can be alone with his own thoughts and find that sufficient. A man who has cultivated this quality radiates it in every shared moment, including the silent ones. And that radiation is felt deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." He was teaching himself to expect imperfection and remain undisturbed by it. That is advanced emotional training. And the byproduct of that training is a man who is not rattled by the small discomforts of social life, including silence. When a woman is with a man who can sit in silence and be peaceful, she relaxes in a way she cannot relax with anxious men. And relaxation, true body-level relaxation, is the soil in which desire grows. You cannot force desire. You cannot perform desire into existence. You can only create the conditions for it. And the man who creates safety through his own settled presence is creating the most powerful condition of all. There is a deeper truth here too. Silence reveals what words cover up. A man who is only attractive when he is talking is a man whose attractiveness depends on performance. But a man who is attractive in silence, that is a man whose attractiveness is real. It is in his body, in his energy, in his way of occupying space. And women know this. They test for it, sometimes consciously, more often not. And the men who pass are the ones who are genuinely at home inside themselves. The fifth thing that triggers lust in a woman is a man who does not seek her approval. This is the one that will feel most counterintuitive. But stay with me. When a man is constantly seeking a woman's approval, constantly checking to see if she is pleased, constantly adjusting his behavior based on her reactions, constantly signaling that her opinion of him is what determines his mood, something in her turns off. Not because she is cruel. Not because she wants him to be cold. But because approval seeking is a signal. And the signal it sends is, I do not fully believe I am enough. The woman cannot help but receive that signal and feel doubt. If he is not sure of his own value, why should she be? The Stoics called this living for the opinion of others, and they considered it one of the most degraded forms of existence. Epictetus said, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. And more pointedly, he taught that the wise man cares about virtue, not about reputation. He does what is right regardless of whether anyone is watching, regardless of whether anyone approves. That indifference to approval, lived from the inside out, not performed for effect, radiates as an extraordinary kind of confidence. It is not arrogance. Arrogance is a performance of not caring while desperately caring underneath. Genuine non-approval seeking has no performance in it. It is simply a man who knows what he thinks, knows what he values, knows how he wants to live, and moves through the world in alignment with that knowledge regardless of reaction. She does not need to approve of his goals for him to pursue them. She does not need to find his taste in music acceptable for him to listen to it. She does not need to agree with his worldview for him to hold it. And when he encounters her disagreement, he considers it genuinely, he engages with it seriously, but he does not abandon his position simply to avoid conflict, or to earn a smile. This is wildly attractive because it is wildly rare. Most men, when they feel a woman pulling away emotionally, will do anything to pull her back. They will apologize for things they did not do wrong. They will change their opinions. They will shrink themselves. They will perform versions of themselves they think she prefers. And every single time they do this, they confirm her instinct that something is lacking, that this man does not fully trust himself, that his foundation is borrowed from her approval rather than built from his own values. The man who, when she is distant, becomes more focused on his work. The man who, when she is cold, does not chase but also does not punish. The man who holds his own center of gravity, who allows her to have her moods without being captured by them, who trusts that he is enough regardless of her current disposition, that man creates a kind of gravitational pull she cannot fully explain. Because suddenly, she is the one who wants to close the distance. And the desire that a woman feels when she is the one who wants to close the distance is completely different from the desire she feels when she is being chased. One is genuine. One is just a response to pressure. And genuine desire is the only kind that lasts. The sixth thing that triggers lust in a woman is a man who treats her like she is worth knowing, not just worth having. There is a passage in Marcus Aurelius that most people overlook because it seems too practical for a conversation about desire. He wrote, "Treat everything that happens as it was willed to be, not as a misfortune, but as a gift." He was talking about accepting fate. But applied to relationships, it contains a profound insight about how to make another person feel genuinely valued. Most men approach women with a particular kind of goal. They want to possess the beauty, the warmth, the body, the attention. They want to have her. And women can feel this wanting. They have been trained by experience to recognize it. It shows up in the eyes that linger on the body but glaze over when she talks about what she cares about. It shows up in the questions that are just preludes to more wanting rather than genuine curiosity. It shows up in the way attention evaporates the moment it becomes clear that having her is not immediately possible. The man who approaches a woman as though she is a fully formed human being with a rich interior life, with opinions worth understanding and a history worth learning, with contradictions worth exploring, creates an experience she rarely has. The experience of being genuinely seen. And being genuinely seen is one of the deepest human hungers. It does not matter how beautiful a woman is. It does not matter how desired she is. If she is never truly seen, she is starving in the middle of a feast. And when a man comes along who actually looks at who she is, not just what she looks like, not just what she can give him, but who she actually is, the effect is volcanic. This is Stoic practice in the realm of connection. The Stoics taught that every human being deserves to be engaged with as a rational soul, as someone capable of reason and growth and genuine thought. This is not sentimentality. This is a philosophical commitment to the dignity of other people. And when a man treats a woman from that place of genuine dignifying curiosity, she feels it in a place that bypasses the rational mind entirely. She will tell her friends about him differently. She will not say, "He was so into me." She will say, "I don't know, he actually listened. Like really listened." And that listening will have done more than 1,000 perfectly delivered compliments. Ask her real questions. Not interview questions. Real questions that come from genuine interest. What does she actually believe? What has broken her, and what rebuilt her? What does she want that she has never told anyone? What does she find unbearable about the world? Where does she go in her mind when she needs to escape? And then listen. Not to respond. Not to demonstrate that you were listening. But because you actually want to know. The man who can do this, who approaches women with real curiosity rather than agenda, who listens with the intention of understanding rather than the intention of impressing, creates a level of intimacy that most men never reach, and that most women have given up hoping to find. The seventh thing that triggers lust in a woman is a man who disciplines his body. Seneca wrote, "It is not that I am brave. It is that I know what is worth fearing." He was talking about his relationship to death, to loss, to the impermanence of everything. But his practice of Stoicism extended to the physical. He fasted regularly. He slept on hard surfaces by choice. He exercised in cold conditions. Not for performance. Not to look a certain way. But to prove to himself that he was master of his body rather than its servant. This physical discipline has an effect on women that goes deeper than aesthetics. Of course, a well-maintained body is visually appealing. That is obvious. But that is not what we are talking about here. We are talking about the signal that discipline sends. The message that a man's body communicates about his interior life. When a man takes care of his body, when he trains consistently, when he chooses difficult physical challenges and shows up for them even when he does not feel like it, he is demonstrating something far more important than vanity. He is demonstrating that he has a relationship with discomfort that is not defined by avoidance. He is demonstrating that he can hold to a commitment even when the reward is not immediate. He is demonstrating that he respects himself enough to take care of the vessel he inhabits. Women feel this. The way a man carries himself changes when he has this relationship with his body. There is a weight to his movement, a groundedness, a kind of physical authority that has nothing to do with aggression and everything to do with self-possession. And there is something else. A man who trains his body has, by definition, developed a tolerance for difficulty. He knows what it feels like to push through when every part of him wants to stop. He knows what it feels like to be tired and to keep going anyway. He knows what it feels like to choose growth over comfort. And that knowledge changes him at the level of character. It makes him the kind of man who does not fold when life gets hard. And women, consciously or not, are looking for the man who will not fold. This is not about six-pack muscles. This is about the discipline that produces them. And that discipline, evidence of a man who takes himself seriously, who holds himself to standards, who does not live purely for comfort, is one of the most attractive signals a man can send. Start where you are. Walk before you run. Lift light before you lift heavy. But start. Because the discipline you build in your body will show up in your eyes, in your posture, in your voice, in the way you hold yourself in every room you enter. And she will feel it before she understands it. The eighth thing that triggers lust in a woman is a man who can regulate his own emotions without suppressing them. There is a common misreading of Stoicism that damages men. The misreading goes like this: the Stoics said not to feel things. They said to suppress emotion. They said to be stone-faced and unmoved. Therefore, the Stoic man is emotionally unavailable, cold, robotic. This is completely wrong. And it is important that we correct it, because the misreading produces exactly the kind of man that women are deeply unattracted to. Marcus Aurelius was not stone-faced. He grieved. He loved. He felt despair. He wrote with tenderness and anguish about the people he lost and the world he found difficult. What the Stoics practiced was not the suppression of emotion. It was the regulation of emotion. The difference is enormous. Suppression says, I will not feel this. I will push it down. I will pretend it is not there. Regulation says, I feel this fully. I acknowledge it completely. I do not deny it or perform it. But I also do not let it drive the bus. The man who suppresses his emotions is actually emotionally immature, not emotionally strong. He is running from his own interior life. And that running shows up in coldness, in unavailability, in a kind of flatness that women describe as, I could never reach him. That flatness is not strength. It is armor. And armor keeps people out, including the people who want to be close. The man who regulates his emotions is a completely different creature. He is the man who can say, that hurt, without becoming dangerous. He is the man who can be moved by beauty without losing himself in it. He is the man who can feel fear and act anyway. He is the man who can be angry and still choose his words. He is the man who can be sad and still function. A woman who encounters this man experiences something extraordinary. She sees that he feels things. Real things. That he is not hollow inside. That he has a full emotional life that he is not afraid of. And she also sees that she is safe with him. That his emotions will not become her emergency. That she does not need to manage him. That she is free to be her full emotional self because he is capable of holding space for it without being overwhelmed. This combination, emotional depth and emotional stability, is the rarest and most powerful combination a man can possess. It is the combination that makes a woman feel both safe and alive. Safe because he will not become unhinged. Alive because there is actually someone home to connect with. Learn to feel your emotions without becoming them. Cry when you need to cry. In private if that is easier. But let yourself feel it. Feel the grief, the fear, the anger, the joy, feel all of it, and then let it pass through you rather than controlling you. This is the actual practice of Stoicism. This is what produces the man that women cannot get out of their heads. The ninth thing that triggers lust in a woman is a man who knows how to lead without demanding to lead. The Stoics were deeply concerned with leadership. Not as a position, but as a quality. Marcus Aurelius spent the last years of his life leading armies, managing an empire, and guiding millions of people through plague and war, all while writing in his private journal about humility, about service, about the weight of responsibility. He did not want power for its own sake. He carried it because it was given to him, and because he believed he could use it for something good. That quality of leadership, carried as a responsibility rather than a trophy, is deeply magnetic. A woman does not want to be dominated. That is not leadership. That is fear masquerading as authority. What a woman wants, what she is biologically wired to respond to, is a man who can take charge in a way that makes her feel cared for rather than controlled. A man who can see what needs to happen and make it happen. A man who can make a decision when she is exhausted from making decisions. A man who can hold the frame of an experience, a conversation, an evening, a life, without constantly asking for permission to do so. This is harder than it sounds. Because the man who leads well is also the man who listens. He leads from a place of understanding what the people around him actually need, not from a place of imposing what he thinks they should need. He is confident but not rigid. Decisive but not controlling. Present but not overbearing. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This is the foundation of genuine leadership. Know who you are. Know what you value. Know where you are going. And then move. Without hesitation, without apology, without waiting for a consensus that will never fully come. When a man has this quality, when he can walk into a situation and feel what is needed and move toward it with quiet assurance, the people around him, including the woman beside him, exhale. Something in them relaxes. Something in them trusts. And from trust, from real trust, from the trust that comes from seeing a man act from his center rather than his anxiety, desire grows like a vine towards sunlight. Lead in the small things first. Decide where you are going for dinner without asking what she wants 17 times. Make a plan and invite her into it. Take care of a problem before she has to point it out. Show up prepared. Show up present. Show up with a direction. These are not grand gestures. They are daily demonstrations of the quality that makes a woman feel like she is in good hands. And feeling like she is in good hands, truly, deeply, in the hands of a man she genuinely trusts, is one of the most powerful triggers of desire that exists. The 10th thing that triggers lust in a woman is a man who has been broken and rebuilt himself. Here is the one that surprises everyone. Women are not ultimately attracted to men who have never struggled. They are attracted to men who have struggled and survived it. The distinction matters enormously. A man who has never faced real difficulty is like a building that has never been tested by wind. You do not actually know what he is made of. He does not actually know what he is made of. There is a kind of softness at the core of the untested man, a fragility disguised as comfort, that women can feel even when they cannot name it. But a man who has been broken, who has lost something, who has failed at something that mattered, who has gone through a season of darkness and found his way through it, not by accident, not by someone rescuing him, but by doing the difficult interior work of rebuilding himself, that man is different. He has a quality in his eyes, a quality in his silences, a quality in the way he speaks about difficulty without dramatizing it. He has been somewhere. He knows something about himself that only suffering can teach. The Stoics were all about this. They sought out difficulty deliberately. They used hardship as a training ground. Seneca wrote, "The man who has never been tested does not know himself." And Marcus Aurelius, who endured the deaths of multiple children, constant war, political betrayal, and the weight of governing an empire in decay, wrote about all of it not with bitterness but with a kind of seasoned clarity that you can feel in every line. Women feel this quality in men who have been through things. It shows up in the way they hold themselves, in the kindness that comes from knowing pain, in the patience that comes from having been impatient and learning what it costs, in the ability to sit with someone else's suffering without running, because they have learned to sit with their own. If you have been through something hard, do not hide it. Do not wear it as a badge of trauma, but do not pretend it did not happen either. The story of how you fell and got back up is one of the most powerful things you possess. Not because women want to save you, but because a man who has rebuilt himself is a man who carries the proof of his own resilience in his body. And resilience, real, tested, proven resilience, is one of the deepest triggers of trust and desire. The wound, when healed, becomes the credential. The 11th thing that triggers lust in a woman is a man with a rich interior life. Imagine two men. Both of them are reasonably good-looking, reasonably successful, reasonably charming in social situations. But one of them, when the party is over and the social performance ends, has nothing inside. He has opinions about sports and a few opinions about politics and a running commentary on his own life. But when you ask him what he finds beautiful, he is confused by the question. When you ask him what he is afraid of, he deflects. When you ask him what he believes about the nature of existence, he laughs nervously and changes the subject. The other man, when the noise falls away, is more interesting than when it was present. He has been reading things that changed him. He has been thinking about things he has not resolved. He has strong opinions about art and music and philosophy, not because he was told to have them but because he has spent time actually thinking. He has wonder in him. Genuine, unperformed wonder at the strangeness and beauty of being alive. Women are drawn to the second man with an intensity they often find embarrassing. Because the second man offers something the first cannot, the possibility of genuine meeting. Not just two bodies in the same room, but two minds, two souls, genuinely encountering each other. Stoic philosophy was at its core an intellectual practice. The Stoics read obsessively. They thought rigorously. They wrote to clarify their thinking. They engaged with other philosophies not to dismiss them but to understand them. They were people of serious interior life. And Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the ancient world, spent his evenings not at parties but with his journal, wrestling with questions about how to live well. When you develop a rich interior life, it shows. It shows in how you talk. In the connections you make between unexpected things. In the questions you ask. In the silence that follows a good conversation because both of you are still thinking. It shows in the way your eyes change when you encounter something that genuinely moves you. It shows in the writing on your bookshelf and in the music you choose and in the places you go when you need to think. And women feel it. They feel the difference between a man who is a collection of reactions and a man who is a developing mind. The developing mind is the one that stays with them. Read widely. Think carefully. Develop opinions and then challenge them. Find what genuinely interests you and go deep into it. Not for her. Not to impress her. But because you deserve to be a full person. Because life is richer when you are paying real attention to it. And as a byproduct of becoming richer yourself, you become the kind of person who makes the lives of others feel richer too. Including hers. The 12th thing that triggers lust in a woman is a man who is generous without being a pushover. There is a Stoic concept called preferred indifference. The idea is that things like wealth, health, and pleasure are not inherently good or bad, but they are preferred when they are available. A Stoic man is generous with what he has because he is not attached to it. He gives freely, not because he is trying to buy something, but because generosity is in alignment with his values. And simultaneously, he does not give himself away. He does not sacrifice his principles. He does not allow his generosity to become a mechanism for manipulation. This combination, generous but not a pushover, giving but not giving himself away, is incredibly attractive. Most men land on one extreme or the other. Either they are withholding, calculating their generosity for maximum return, which women can smell from across the room and find deeply repellent. Or they are too giving in an anxious way, giving constantly and desperately to compensate for the insecurity they feel, which women also feel and find exhausting rather than attractive. The man whose generosity comes from abundance, from genuine warmth, from a real desire to contribute to the life of someone he cares about, without needing credit, without keeping score, without using giving as a form of control, creates a feeling of ease and warmth that is deeply inviting. And when that same man, in the same breath, is capable of saying no, of declining something that violates his values, of holding a limit with warmth but without apology, the combination is electric. Because it demonstrates that his yes actually means something. His generosity is real, not obligatory. His affection is chosen, not compelled. And chosen affection, from a man who clearly knows how to choose, is worth infinitely more than obligatory affection from a man who does not know how to say no. Be generous. With your time, your attention, your resources, your laughter, your genuine care. Be the man who tips well and holds the door and listens when someone needs to be heard. Not because you are performing goodness, but because you have genuinely decided to move through the world that way. And in the same breath, know your limits. Know what you will and will not accept. Know what you will and will not do. And hold those limits with the quiet confidence of a man who does not need to justify his own boundaries. That combination will do more for your attractiveness than any particular skill at conversation, or any specific thing you could say or do. The 13th and final thing that triggers lust in a woman is a man who is becoming. Marcus Aurelius was not a finished product. He was a project. A lifelong, daily, disciplined project. He wrote to himself every morning and every evening about how he had fallen short that day, how he could do better, what he needed to remember, what he needed to practice. He was the most powerful man in the world, and he was still working on himself. That perpetual becoming, that refusal to decide that you are finished growing, that commitment to ongoing improvement not for achievement but for virtue, is one of the most quietly powerful things a woman can witness in a man. Because here is the truth. Women are not ultimately attracted to perfection. Perfection is intimidating. Perfection is distant. Perfection is not something you can build a real life with. Because a real life is messy and difficult and full of moments where you fall short and have to find your way back. What women are attracted to is direction. A man with direction, a man who knows where he is going and is moving toward it every day, is more attractive than a man who has arrived. Because the man who has arrived has nowhere to go. And a life with nowhere to go is a life that slowly dies. Be in motion. Not frantic motion. Not motion for the sake of avoiding stillness. But the deep, purposeful, deliberate motion of a man who takes seriously the question of how to live a good life and shows up for that question every single day. Read the books. Build the discipline. Have the difficult conversations with yourself. Do the work in the gym and in the mind and in the soul. Make mistakes and learn from them without being destroyed by them. Forgive yourself and do better. Recommit when you drift. Start again when you fail. And let all of this happen not in private shame but in the open texture of a life being genuinely lived. This is what the Stoics were teaching. Not how to attract women. They were teaching how to become fully human. How to live with integrity and depth and purpose. How to face the uncertainty of life without being destroyed by it. How to love without losing yourself. How to lead without demanding to be followed. And as a byproduct of that teaching, they were describing the man that women have always wanted. The man who is not afraid of himself. The man who has something to offer beyond his appearance and his performance. The man who brings genuine warmth and genuine strength to every room he enters. The man who makes the people around him feel safer and more alive just by being present. That man does not need tricks. He does not need strategies. He does not need to study pickup lines or learn how to manufacture chemistry. Chemistry finds him. Because he has made himself into someone worth being around. Someone worth knowing. Someone worth choosing. And being chosen, truly chosen, by a man like that, is one of the deepest desires a woman carries. Here is the truth that ties all of this together. Lust, real lust, the kind that does not fade after the novelty wears off, the kind that deepens rather than diminishes, the kind that makes a woman reach for you rather than away from you, is not triggered by what you do to her. It is triggered by who you are. And who you are is the one thing you have complete control over. Not your height. Not your face. Not your bank account. Not your circumstances. Not where you came from or what was done to you. Those things are real and they matter in some ways. But the core of you, the character you build through your daily choices, the quality of mind you develop through your daily attention, the emotional depth you cultivate through your willingness to face yourself honestly, those are entirely yours. This is the Stoic message. This is what Marcus Aurelius was writing in that journal by candlelight, while his empire trembled around him. You have power over your mind. You have power over your choices. You have power over who you are becoming. And in that power is everything. Become the man who has mastered his own mind. Become the man who has a purpose larger than any single relationship. Become the man who is comfortable in silence, who does not seek approval, who leads from his center, who has been tested and survived, who carries a rich interior life and a generous but boundaried heart. Become that man not to attract someone. Become that man because you deserve to be that man. Because you have one life to live and it deserves to be lived fully, deeply, with intention and courage and genuine care. And here is the paradox that the Stoics knew and that most people never understand. The moment you stop trying to be attractive and simply try to be excellent, You become the most attractive thing in any room. She will notice. She will not be able to help herself. Follow me, because this journey of becoming is the most important work you will ever do. And we are going to walk it together, one day, one discipline, one choice at a time. The man you are becoming is the man she has been waiting for. Start today.